All right. So I think we're going to start, folks. We've going to have a few more people joining us as we progress through the meeting. So the first thing I'd like to do is begin by acknowledging our traditional owners of the land. We're on the Bunurong lands, but I know we're spread far and wide across this country. So I'd like to pay my respects to all the elders past and present across this great country. So a little bit of housekeeping. Jana, if you could bring forwards. Let's get the microphones muted, please. We don't really want any unintended interruptions. Towards the end of the presentations, we'll open it up for questions, and you can unmute as you need to ask questions. Just for reference, we are recording this, so if you've got any colleagues that miss it and are interested to have a look at the overview of the core funding round, which we're opening, it'll be available on our website not too long after we next week. So we do have a Q&A function. So if people would like to post some questions during the event so they don't forget what is top of mind, we can capture those and answer them fairly quickly as we move towards the end of the presentation. If you've got any technical issues, if I drop out or one of the presenters drops out, please let us know through the chat.
And it's probably more importantly is the
All right, so let's just double check that muting, please. But we'll kick off right now. It looks like we're up to about 75 people joining the event. I'm not going to hold it up anymore. Jana, if you could click the next one through. Okay, so quick agenda. We're a quick welcome to the CRC overview of the collaborative funding program, and then we're going to run through the research programs and the priorities for the CRC. What is a core project? As you know, we've just completed the starter programs, and that was very successful. I think we're up to about 12 that have moved through the process, and now we're really kicking off the larger format core projects. So we'll run through the eligibility, applications and assessments and the key dates, and then we'll run through some Q&A. Next, Jana. So most of you on the call would be very familiar with the CRC. You've been on the journey. It was a 2-year application journey, sandwiched in between an election which delayed our start, but we're well into the operation of the CRC now. We've got a fully appointed board. We've got most of our policies in place and all of our governance around project selection, and you know, we're open for business essentially. And if we look at the high level numbers, we've got just under 58 million that we're looking to expend over the next 5 years. So that's the sort of time frame of kicking off projects. We've got a 3-year window for larger projects, and then some smaller projects at the back end. But we're looking to have all the funds committed over the next 5 years, rolling out.
Sorry, just ignore that. I've clicked on something.
Rolling out with the rolling out to the end of the 7 years when all the projects will wrap up. Currently, we've got the 5 government agencies involved, and lots of industry partners, still 13 research organisations that are going to be able to provide detailed research and development for projects that industry wants to bring to the table. So our mission is to build a world-class additive manufacturing ecosystem that really covers off design, development, research, right through the full value chain from a product development perspective, where we look at software, we look at materials, we look at all the quality control and certification needed to move components from a prototype phase into a production phase. We're also looking at systems that can enhance the manufacturability of parts. So that might be AI looking at how to automate the optimization of a particular component or a suite of components. And then we move right through the post-processing. So surface finishing, surface coating, and final productionization of components that have been additively manufactured are all part of our remit as far as supporting. So we're looking to accelerate industry-led research, and that's really the core of what we're trying to do. We want industry to come to us with problems and opportunities. Those opportunities might be new product development projects. They might be new material requirements that they have for a particular application. And essentially, we want them to be able to move through the process of doing development with our research partners, innovate, and then move the product into commercialization. So I might move to the next slide. Thanks, Jana. It is a collaborative funding program. We support multi-year industry-led projects. And what I mean by that is if you have a number of partners in your supply chain that you want to involve, that's going to add a lot of weight to the application. And there are a number of industry partners that have joined this CRC that are what you'd call a lead industry partner, and then they have brought 2 or 3 of their supply chain partners, they might be their contract manufacturers or direct suppliers of materials, into the project. And then that opens up the, from our perspective, it de-risks the project to some degree when you've got multiple industry partners on a project, and it really shows a strong commercialization path. So we look at what we're trying to do over the next 5 to 6 years with our projects. We want to improve advanced manufacturing capability in Australia. We want to be able to explore new business models. So really what that means is we're prepared to take risks. If an industry partner is prepared to put money into a research program and they can see the commercial value in doing that, we're prepared to back them dollar for dollar. So we'll take certain levels of risk with our partners to make sure that the opportunity to move a project into commercialization is realised. We want to build up a more sustainable supply chain in Australia, one that allows for machine sales and repair and maintenance opportunities to be realised. At the moment, a big issue is the fact that many of the high-tech AM machines that are currently in Australia need to be serviced by technicians that are flown in from Singapore, from Germany, from China. So building up that capability locally just de-risks the AM adoption for our partners. We want to support commercialisation and scale up projects. Can we get some mutes happening there, please, folks? I've got a bit of background noise kicking in. We want to obviously build an enduring industry and research partnerships. There's been some strong developments through the Innovative Manufacturing CRC, and we want to continue and build on those and make sure that our researchers are really gearing up their research to meet industry needs. And finally, we want to make sure that there's economic benefit for Australia and our broader communities. Thanks, Jana. So what do I mean by co-investment? It's pretty straightforward. We've got 57 million to invest in from a cash perspective over the next 5 to 6 years. We have a minimum investment in a project of 250,000, and then a maximum investment of 5 million. So if we look at a $1 million cash project, the CRC will put into that project $500,000. The industry partner will put in a matching $500,000, and there will obviously be flow on in kind from both the researchers and the industry partner. We collect that data. That's important to the Commonwealth. They want to see what type of in-kind is moving through particular projects. And basically, once we get to a position where a project's ready to go, we invoice the industry partners on a monthly basis. That those funds get put into our account. We hang on to them until the milestones are met. We then match those funds dollar for dollar, and then they get sent to the research partner for the milestone once the milestones have been met. And that happens on a quarterly basis. So next slide. And this is where I will sign off, but those industry partners that have joined us, this is our research cohort, and so 12 universities plus CSIRO. And I must point out that our universities from an AM, innovation and development and research perspective are recognised in the top 5 countries globally for doing research into additive manufacturing. So you're certainly tapping into organisations that are internationally recognised for their research, and also have a very broad range of skill sets across a lot of different platforms and a lot of different materials. Not to mention the software aspect. We have a number of universities that are building up their capabilities in artificial intelligence, particularly focused on manufacturing. So that will be a growing area that we will be participating in, and projects in that space will certainly be looked at. So a little bit remiss of me, we have all of our executive here. We have Matthew Young, who is looking after our projects, and he'll be presenting in a little bit later. So he's our Chief Operating Officer. We have Jana, who you're very familiar with. She handles all our marketing and comms. Dana supports Matthew with the program coordination. Sam Silver's here as our CFO. We have Frank Wagner, who is our Research Director, and we also have Colin Hall, who is our Research Director for Defence. So all the team's here and can answer specific questions towards the end of the presentation. I'm going to hand over to Frank now, who most of you are well engaged with. Frank, if you could take over, please.
Thank you, Simon. On the next slide, I'm very happy to share with you our research programs, our research program. That shows you a little bit the scope of what kind of R&D and innovation projects we would like to fund. This was developed during the application phase. We had whatever 10 workshops or something with 100, 120, 160 industry partners, and they helped us to shape these research programs. So while research program 2 and 3 and 4 very much follow the life cycle of additive manufacturing, we also have this research program 1, sustainable manufacturing. It is a little bit more open. It covers and sets a kind of framework for advanced manufacturing, especially for additive manufacturing. Here we talk about sustainability with the meaning of EcoSoft. We talk about human factors and future Industry 5.0. Simon mentioned AI will have a disruption. Here with any research around AI and additive manufacturing or digital twins or cybersecurity, critical IT infrastructure will be covered here. As well, what we learned around industry transformation, also happy to welcome research project on these areas. Again, you can read it by yourself. This research program is a guideline for us in the scope, but not exclusive. If you have ideas which are not explicitly mentioned here, still talk to us. The last weeks, for example, we had a conversation about ceramics, using additive manufacturing for ceramics and ceramics printers. Not explicitly listed here on the research program 2, but definitely we would be open and interested project like this. So you find this list and this description of the 4 research program with the 16 sub-programs on our website. And please feel free to contact us and come to us with ideas which should be in the scope of the project programs, at least covering one, maybe better two. And even if it's related to additive manufacturing or application of additive manufacturing and not explicitly listed, please anyhow talk to us. On the next slide, we are very proud to share with you the first project example. Since a few days, it's public, and you find all the details on the website of Adelaide University. We're proud to share with you that we fund the first project here, scale additive manufacturing of high power better voltaics. Quite interesting. I think worth to say here, the project objective, for example, very strongly aligns with the purpose of our overall CRC. That's exactly what we want to do. Take activities, prototypes from lower TRL levels or MR levels 4 to higher levels like 7. Exactly. Bringing prototype processes into integrated manufacturing processes and help to commercialize it. I think also worth to mention the story behind the project. So it's really nice that the application showed a very strong voice of the industry. They had a very clear description of the R&D activities and the milestones, and also had a very, very sound commercialization strategy. So we were really enthusiastic that we can fund this project and being the first one of our, what we call fast track projects in the pipeline. Again, let's say for any more details, this is just a summary. There's quite a detailed overview on the website of Adelaide University for those who are interested in any further information. Thank you, and over to Matthew, please, on the next slide.
Afternoon, everyone. I'm Matthew Young, the COO of AMCRC, as Simon noted. You might remember me from other CRCs, so I'll probably go through more detail now in what we're looking for projects. And some of this has already been mentioned in this presentation, but we'll just run through it as quickly as possible. So we're saying this is core funding. So these are larger projects where we're looking for multi-year execution. So nominally, 2 to 3 years of effort, and that then justifies the value that we're looking for. We have a number of signed industry partners with Additive Manufacturing CRC, and we're looking to be for them as to be submitting applications, but as well we have funds available for new industry partners. So please don't exclude yourself if you think it's for partners only. We're keen to have conversations with everyone out there who's involved in the ecosystem. As we said, a base investment of $250,000 to be matched, and when you move that across at least 2 years, what you get from that is from research from one of our research partners is that we are essentially employing a postdoc, research associate, etc., full time to do that work. So it tends to be related to employment contracts within the university. We talk to MRL levels. So most of you would probably, as researchers, will be used to the NASA technology readiness levels. We talk in MRL, and they're from the technology side, they're mostly equivalent. So it's proof of concept to prototype. But that brings along with it all the considerations to mature a manufacturing process. So specifications, quality, workforce development, all of that bundles up. So anything to do with development in the additive ecosystem can be covered under that and described by it, and manufacturing. We do ask for people to consider how their projects fit with Research Program 1 from a sustainability point of view, a digital thread, use of technologies and those areas. So that's an important part in our applications. and beyond that, further embedded in program 1 is sustainable manufacturing. As mentioned, and I'll go into more detail in the next slide. We are looking for $1 from you, $1 from us, actually equals 5. So that comes from the in-kind contributions that you're developing, from both research partners and industry. Because we can't put cash into industry, anything that any effort put in by an industry partner for your time, for your materials, etc., that can be counted as in kind, which adds up quite quickly. And then from the university side, those that are employed anyway tend to be the professors, etc., that are putting in a fractional time into the project. We count their in kind, and we help you along the way to build up that in kind in an application. And what makes a really good project for CRCs and what they're based around with the cooperative is a collaborative project. So that's important to consider. So a little bit more detail here. So as I said, two years, ideally 4 years. We can go longer if you can think that far out. Contributions, ideally, we can go up to 5 million, 3 million, maybe more realistic, as noted here. And that cash investment it needs to be expended on operational expenses and salaries within our university partners. We match the cash dollar for dollar, as noted, and then in funding these projects. One thing we're held to by the Commonwealth is a 30% on costs on salaries. And that's part of our funding guidelines directly from the Commonwealth for this round of funding. It does change year to year for CRC, so we may be quoting something different to another CRC, but it's when it was established it sets that cost. If I drop down to the next squares down, as I said, we're looking for industry researchers in-kind contributions. And as well, what makes a good project, especially if it's a multi-year project, is if there's opportunities to look at aligning PhDs and masters and internships within those projects. Often this may be a little bit difficult, but it's something to be considered, as a PhD needs to do something a bit solo compared to the team, but they can contribute to the work, provided that they get their unique bit of work out of it at the end of the project. I've talked about manufacturing readiness level. We've got here that research effort needs to be 75 to 100% within the universities, but we can outsource into the industry partners to a certain percent if there's something unique that they can do that can't be done within the researchers. And the way that is accommodated is that the industry partner would invoice the research partner for that work component of the work, and then the research partner invoices us, and it would be OPEX against the project, independent of time and people's time that's placed on that. So one key thing is, I said after just saying that, the key thing is that we're not really looking to fund directly industry internal R&D or other internal costs, apart from the exception that I mentioned, and we're tied that we cannot cover building facilities, production tooling costs, etc. Capital equipment is also not counted, but in the case of the Commonwealth, capital equipment is considered anything above, in this case, above $50,000 investment. Next slide, please. So our funding is live now on the website. You can go on there under the tab and download the project guidelines. That gives you much more details on those funding areas, the application, and comes along with it a project budget in Excel to fill out. So you'll notice in the project budget, it's quite locked down, the green sections that to fill out when you do the application. If you're wanting to do an EOI on a project or something like that, what we suggest is we're always happy to have a conversation up front and give an overall high-level assessment of whether it would fit or not. If we need more details or the scope may not be fitting with us, one thing that researchers in industry can do is just do a short form word answer, bullet points to the main questions in the application, and then we can assess it more thoroughly for fit. If you move to the next slide, please. Key to a good application is the problem or opportunity that you're describing, and how this problem is causing preventing value being attained or produce value to the industry partner. And part of that definition is obviously the science solution and where it's at the moment. The second, and this is within the first parts of our application. The other part that we're looking for is, what does the outcome look like? What's good at the end of the project? How will it address the problems? How will you go about developing the solutions? And what are the tangible outputs and deliveries? One key thing about industry-led research, we're not looking for reports as outcomes or papers or things like that. We're looking for tangible outputs. Does a working product, a window of operation for a qualified product, the development of a specification that allows this new technology to be applied and controlled, all those sort of areas that you can consider as a tangible output. And then one thing that we ask you to explain is a strategic fit with the CRC. This area, we help you as much as possible and give you as much feedback as to those areas and what we're looking for as a team within the CRC. And then we move into what will be the output benefits of this project. So this comes into the lower section of the application, and you'll notice when you read the application and the questions, there's a number of questions that are highlighted that say these are best answered by the industry partner. So we're not asking the researchers that tend to write most of the application to understand the business details of the industry partner, and often they don't. And so when they try to answer it's not necessarily getting that business case across. So it's best to work in conjunction with the industry partner and answer those questions in as much commercial detail and opportunity to the business as possible. Maybe next slide. When we're talking about commercialization pathways, there's a few things obviously to consider. How does it fit with your company strategy? How will it be adopted and commercialized? Does this project bring new opportunities, open new markets? Is another good thing. And then beyond that, there's the problem itself. Does it avoid costs? Does it avoid investment? Is it a saving because it's increasing your efficiency, throughput, all those sort of areas in the long term of commercialization. And then because we finish in that sort of prototype space, obviously there's further investment by industry to get that into a marketplace, into a product, into wherever you're moving. And so it's part of our assessment is what is required. Is the industry prepared to do that? Is that a clear pathway and an opportunity there, or and part of that then describes, is there a business model that needs to be studied during the project? Is there other research resources that can be included that will make sure that this does get to commercialization? And then, of course, what are the barriers that will come across it? As Simon noted, risk is obviously an obvious one, and we ask you to list the risks. But then, of course, there's regulatory, supply chain, commercial, all those areas that may have to overcome. The next slide. So IP is always a discussion around this. Around these projects. Our key outlook on IP is that if you're bringing background IP, that remains with the owner, and any improvements on that background IP remains with the owner of the IP. That keeps it quite simple. And throughout the course of the project, if there needs to be a licensing arrangement around that, that's often best settled outside the project, and the project will have, when contracting, terms to the effect that it will be negotiated in good faith and be on fair terms. Project IP. We as a CRC, we take no interest in your IP in the project. But what we do want to see is that the IP is, invested with those that can use it. So generally, the project IP, because the industry partner's paying for it, we are paying for it. We like to see that sitting with the industry partner. If that's not possible and has been agreed otherwise, then it should be accessible on fair and equitable terms under licensing agreements, etc., if that's what's been agreed to. From a cost of IP, so patenting, patents, copyright, trade secrets, registered designs, that's all output from that project can create. However, the CRC would not fund the filing and the legal costs around those. Next slide. So I guess a big part of our project, and we'll go through the sort of the cycle of putting in a project, but a big part of our project is what we call a project investment committee that we run, and it's a bit of a shark tank where we invite the industry partners to present a very short pitch to an independent committee around why this, a little bit about their company, a little bit about the project, and then most importantly, why this project is important to them. Before that stage, the committee would have scored the project and they would understand it, about what it is. And then after the presentation, there's a Q&A session, and then they deliberate and make recommendations to invest or not to invest to our board. Having this set up enables us as a team within the CRC to help you all through the application to build a very strong application and review it. If it's not going to fit with us, we'll fail it fast and try and help you look for other opportunities and where it fits. If it's fitting with us, we'll help you build it up as strong as possible to give you the best chance to get it through the investment committee. The investment committee is made up of totally independent people. If they have a conflict, they'll excuse themselves from the assessment, but they'll generally be fully independent. They then make a recommendation to our board to fund or not, and then depending on our delegation levels, either the managing director or the board approves the project. So as I said, as we're saying here, this funding, the key thing is we're looking for a strong commitment from senior management, and they should be involved in the application from the industry side of things. We're looking for a benefit to Australian manufacturing, so not necessarily, opportunity to license technology overseas and those areas, but we can consider it. And then, approach to research that is holistic and sound. As mentioned before, in-kind and other is important, as well as other tangible things. And that, over the course of the project, that an industry adoption pathway and plan, commercialisation plan is done concurrently by the industry partners, and we would be looking for updates on those as the project runs. Next slide, please. So, as discussed, our doors are open. Expressions of interest are ready. Can be verbal. They can be a briefing if you want to give it. So just talk to us, and consult with us. If you need to, we ask that you then review our project guidelines before you jump into developing a project application and plan, just to make sure you cross everything, it fits with the industry, what they're looking for leverage of their funding and what they plan to get out of it. And then it's a good time to move into developing the project plan and budget. Usually the best way to go about it is to develop the answers to the questions as best as possible, send them to us, and we will give you feedback, direction, whether you're on the right track to what we're looking for in the answers, and help you build the application from there. And then once we're all happy that this has legs and likely to be funded, then the detail of the costings and that should probably be entered into. Once our round closes, and I'll be showing the dates in a little bit as to the flow of that, we will produce a pack that goes to our investment committee before the PIC meeting. They review the applications and they score the applications. If you have a look at every question, there's a score allocated to each question, so you can see the weight of those questions and the size of the number of characters that we're asking you to restrict the answer to is proportionate to that weight. As I noted, there's the pitch and the project investment committee, and then it'll go into conditional approval if it's approved. If it's not approved, we'll come back with recommendations if it needs to be reworked, or if it's unlikely to be funded in a future round. And then once we have approval, that flows through to the project agreement round. What we do what we do plan to do, and it's happening this round, is that the open window for applications is almost a month away from our board meeting. So that gives us 2 weeks to run assessments and the pick process. And then we have 2 weeks to prepare recommendations to the board. So from the time that the application is submitted through to the process being complete and an outcome will be 5 to 6 weeks. Next slide. So these are our dates as noted, and you can see the flow there as discussed. So we're at the moment have had the application up on the website for a week now. This information session is happening today, and then if we'll be running a Q&A session, more open Q&A session on the 26th of March for those that are developing applications for further questions around our funding. And then on the 15th of April, the applications flow. Then the following dates are again giving you those assessments and running through the outcomes. Next slide. There you go, we finished. So as I said, our doors are open. we're the best place to start is often a conversation. So reach out to Frank, to myself, to Simon, and Colin, and start a conversation there. What you're looking to do, often a quick Teams meeting, half an hour, to get around there with your industrial partner, so we all get to know each other, talk about how we're going, what we plan to do, and how we intend to proceed, and we can give you advice there and then. So I'll maybe hand it over to Simon for a few words before we go into Q&A.
Great. Thanks for that, Matthew. A nice detailed dive into the application process. Couple of comments I'll make. Our funding rounds are not competitive. So you can apply for funding and there's not a fixed amount of funds that we have to divide amongst successful applicants. So it's a non-competitive process from the amount of funds perspective. We will be running 4 rolling funding rounds each year. So that will be every quarter we run a funding round, and that ties in with our board meeting schedule and our project investment committee schedule. When you get an application into our project investment committee, it is generally well shaped, well defined, and has a very high success rate of getting through. That's because we've worked with you on that application. You don't just fill out an application, submit it, and cross your fingers. You'll submit an application, we'll give you some feedback, we'll work with you to make sure the direction of the project is in line with our requirements. If it's not, you'll know very early that your project is not suitable for our type of funding. But I suppose, as I mentioned early on, our risk appetite is quite high for the research and development. We want to bring as many projects across the full product development cycle into the CRC, and we have researchers that can provide the right type of research and development across that full spectrum, from software right through to materials and post-processing, machine design, all the way through to qualification of specific parts to various standards. So ultimately, we're open for business. We've got a broad remit across all industry sectors, and we're going to help you very early on to define the project and make sure that it's suitable to put towards our project investment committee. So with that, I will open up to questions. Jana, did you want to have a look at some of the questions in the chat that we might get onto?
Not a problem. Yeah. So the first question we've got here is how can the CRC support research partners to match our capabilities with industry partners so that we can move to the multi-party collaborative projects you are looking for? It's from Stephen.
Yep, very good question, Stephen. I might let Matthew answer that one.
I'm sorry, Jana. I noticed there was a few comments in the chat as well, so I missed that question.
Maybe I can take it. Maybe I can take it.
So,
hi, Stephen. Thanks for the question. Let's say there's two levels. Let's say of matchmaking. Let's say the first matchmaking level should happen on the level of our research partners and our industry partners. So most of our universities, they have business developers and research office that can support you. That's the first level. On our level of a CRC, we run various events where we bring our research partners, industry partners together. Now you are from UQ. One next major event, for example, will be Australian Manufacturing Week. Australian Manufacturing Week, we will have a booth there in Brisbane for a couple of days. That would be excellent opportunity for you and all our Queensland-based friends. Come to us, stand with us around, make the matchmaking, make the speed dating over there. We also, for example, have a profile.
Frank, we've actually assigned part of our booth to UQ. So there's an opportunity for UQ to be actually represented on that booth. We're waiting for some feedback from one of your directors.
Additionally, we have a profile and a capability statement of all our research partners on our website. So this would be a first, let's say, very high level approach for industry partners looking for capabilities. Just go on our website, click on the logo of our research partners, and you find there a first high level capability description. And we are planning a few more matchmaking events, partly supported by our state nodes. For example, in South Australia, we have annual events, we're planning annual conference, etc., etc. So we see matchmaking on two levels, on the level of the research organization, as well as on our level, where we as a CRC can support it.
So, Stephen, from the perspective of supporting our researchers, we look at two approaches. Where is the industry partner? We get a lot of engagement from industry partners across Australia. Where is industry partner? What are their specific needs? And then we will engage with the organisation that is best equipped and located in the best way to facilitate a project. Jana, next question, please.
Not a problem. Can there be two projects between two research organizations only, or an industry organization must be involved?
Simple answer to that, we have to have an industry partner involved.
The next question is the CRC going to facilitate networking and relationship building between manufacturers, AM, equipment suppliers, researchers, regulator, or is it expected the industry partners come to the CRC with as much resolved as possible?
Yeah, interesting question. I suppose if the industry partner has identified a commercial opportunity or has a particular problem that they're looking to solve because it's a significant bottleneck to the industry in general or them as an organisation, I suppose the more information they can bring to the table about the type of solution they might be or direction they might be looking for, that helps us define where we might target the research from a research partner perspective. But if the partner comes to the table with very little knowledge of AM, and however they understand a problem, we are probably in a good position to identify the key researchers that could support them, the suppliers that might have technology that could support them from a production perspective once they get through the initial development phase, and then the suppliers of materials if it's a component or a material based problem that they're looking to solve. So the industry partner doesn't have to have a clear picture of the supply chain. We have very strong knowledge in that space, and in fact we're running a AM capability mapping process over the next 6 to 12 months that will define very broadly AM capability in Australia, and that will be a more definitive database that we can dive into when we have specific problems that industry partners don't have the answers to. Jana?
Okay, so under Q&A, we have finished the questions. Some of you have put some questions in the chat as well, and I'm starting sort of with Rachel's question. Is the CRC suitable for startups in these research programs or designed for established businesses working in AM?
We recognise that over 90% of organisations in the manufacturing space are in the SME space or startup space. We're very happy to support startups. They just need to be able to show us a path for their ongoing funding. They don't actually have to show us the fact that they've got the funds. We want to understand that they have a strategy to maintain funds for operations and development, and we were happy to support it. So again, our risk appetite to support startups is reasonably high.
Mm-hmm. Rachel also asked, do we have a MRL definition for MRL 4 to 7 that we can share? Rachel, Matthew already answered in the chat the question, but yes, it's available in the guidelines. So please download the guidelines from the website and you find the definition there. We answered Priyatik's question with regards research organisation, collaboration. I would like to invite Adam Taylor actually to explain his question verbally. If you're still there, Adam, it's a long question and quite detailed. AspiraX Technologies and funding. Adam, are you still there?
Sorry, I was just unmuting, just getting my mute available. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, we can hear you, Adam.
So which question specifically are you looking for explanation on?
I'm not an explanation. I thought it would be if you could sort of, rather me reading it, sort of paraphrase the question, what you're looking for.
So at the moment, AspiraX Technologies, we're based in Melbourne. We're currently aligned with RMIT and CSIRO. So RMIT, we're just going under scope. CSIRO, we're looking at a final stage of discussions under 2 grant programs, one specifically in the graphite industry. RMIT, through our scope collaboration meeting and the directions of the grants we're trying to align, have directed me towards AMCRC and explained that it's best to join these scope meetings now so I can understand the best pathway for our manufacturing validation work. So our product and our work sits across a vast range of industries, and we're looking and we're in the process, like I said, of developing scope with both Monash and RMIT, but RMIT sits better in our space, and they were very specific about joining with AMCRC. And then I was just listening to the comments specifically around the collaboration and the base of where you're at, and trying to understand what's our best way to for Spiral X to position ourselves within the broader ecosystem just to maximise the benefits from an Australian manufacturing standpoint would be my main question. So if we could start with that.
Adam, do you have a specific project in mind?
One specific project we could refer to would be it's a particle separation technique designed for the energy industry and specifically with graphite.
You're a machine supplier, or you're looking to develop that technology?
So we're looking to develop that technology.
Okay, so that if it has an application that where the particles can be used for additive manufacturing, well, that would be a material development program, and that would fit within our scope. Okay.
Well, I think we sit within the intersection of both software-driven manufacturing validation and the material behaviour. We sit across a large range of industry. Another example, we sit in the hospitality space between the waste or the slurry coming from the brewery processing and the conversion of biofuels. So our technology and the opportunities that are available spread a vast range of industries, and we have a number of grants being processed, which is why RMIT were very specific about joining me aligning with AMCRC to really detail in the specific opportunities that I have and map out very carefully what are the best ways for Spiral X to utilise its patent technology, and within what industries we should be focusing now, and how those manufacturing capabilities can be of benefit to the Australian sovereign manufacturing wider scale that we're looking to achieve. So we want to be a part of multiple industries, but we need the guidance, and we have the patent technology, like I said, but we're lacking the guidance and the alignment within the industry.
Okay. So I think it's probably best if we take a discussion offline, Adam, and
okay.
Dive a little deeper into your particular project, and you can explain to us the different applications, and then we can make sure that we align that with within one of our research programs, and then it's a process of building the application around that.
Great, thanks very much.
No problem. Okay, do we have any more questions we need to answer, Yana, or are we opening it up to the floor?
We're opening it up to the floor. Actually,
Okay.
We'll run out of time too. So
we can go a little bit over. So if folks want to have some more questions, please unmute and introduce yourself and ask the question.
Hi, this is Dawal Vyas. I'm from the Human Centered Computing Group from UQ. Work with Stephen Willer. The amount of 250Ks, and I can imagine that's not like a fixed number, but does that include hard cash as well as the in-kind support from the organization, or does that have to be a hard cash of 250Ks?
The 250K is hard cash.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah. And then on top of that, there would be in kind coming from both the research partners and the industry partners. And I should say there's a portion of in kind that the CRC builds into each project. We do a lot of project management in the background, making sure milestones are met, facilitating the payments and collection of funds, and supporting both the research partner and the industry partner in making sure that the project's on track and that commercialisation plans are underway.
Right. And is that the minimum funding that you would accept, or if say for example, if there's a project which is smaller in scope and there's a sort of good chance to have 150Ks of hard cash, would you consider that like for like an initial discussion and see whether this would be something
I might let Matthew answer that, because I know there's something in the wings and he might be able to put some colour around that.
Okay. Thanks.
Hi, Darwell. We've just finished our fast track projects, which is kind of that spot where you're talking now. I would say have the conversation with us anyway at that funding level, and we'll consider it from there. We're not going to be hard and fast on the 250K for the right projects. And just to understand the scope of the work and how it fits in. We are developing what we're terming an SME starter program, which is for lower value, short run projects, but they're probably now sitting below that level that you're talking about. So I hesitate to say hard no. One thing with the CRC, every project, the administration, whether it's a large or small, tends to be much the same for projects. And so the more smaller projects we do, the harder we find it to run all the projects concurrently. So it adds up to a lot of work, and at the moment we're not manned to do that. If we need to move more into that space, we'll consider it based on demand. So don't just assume when we don't fit. Let us know, and we'll see how we can adjust.
This helps. Thank you.
Yeah.
Simon,
Okay.
there have been 2 more questions added to the Q&A. One is about the timelines. Do they need to be 5 years, or can they be fast-tracked to 12 months, for example?
Yeah.
Matthew has already.
Yeah. Timelines, ideally a multi-party project is going to run over a couple of years, but yeah, we've got plenty of projects that get compressed into 12 months. So we understand industry is moving faster and faster these days, and working out how we compress research is not always easy, but that's what's driving industry, and that's where we need to be. We're willing to work with our industry partner and our research partners to see what can be done to compress some of those timeframes.
Mm-hmm. Another question in the chat is, what is the policy for proposals from non-member universities? Say the proposal fits AMCRC perfectly.
So non-member universities would need to actually join as a research partner, and there's a process to do that. There's a commitment that the university needs to make to the life of the CRC, and then there's approval process that we need to get with our members within the CRC to get that over the line. So yes, we can do that, but it needs a longer term commitment from the university, and having a good sized project is going to help get that over the line.
And one more question came in. Besides cash support, what other support does AMCRC offer to its research and industry partners?
Frank, did you want to talk about industry uplift and engagement?
Yes, absolutely. What we talked today very much, and the webinar is focused on our research program, especially on our core projects. As Matthew said, we're thinking about an SME starter program for more dedicated to SMEs. And of course, we have an education and training program. That's also, we will very soon run a webinar and inform our research and industry partners about the scope and the opportunities of our education training program. Simon was referring to one of our dedicated sub-programs, which is 1.4, which is industry transformation program. Here we talk to major industries like renewables, like medical devices, like defense, how we can support not only individual companies, but uplift complete sectors in the use of additive manufacturing technologies. So in the moment, we talk here to state government to get support from them via our state nodes. We talk to major players in the industry, from the defense, especially in the maritime sector, or we talk to renewable energy companies that will be interested to fund not only their own additive manufacturing activities, but really create a kind of ecosystem around them and enable and support the uplift of AM skills along their supply chains. So this is coming hopefully soon. Partly, as I said, let's say, supported by state nodes, for example, in South Australia. We also talk to the Western Australian state government about dedicated support to uplift their AM capabilities in this state. And we have a few more state government triggered conversations in the moment. I think the best thing is, if you're interested in this, contact us directly and we can keep you informed and onboard you, as well as join us in our whatever events like on Australian Manufacturing Week and other things, and just subscribe to our newsletter.
So we've got a pretty broad remit to engage with a range of different industry sectors, and those workshops, information sessions, we run an annual AM forum, are really targeted at industry to get them to engage with researchers. Directly to answer that question, we're happy to hold one-on-one meetings with your industry partners. If you've got a major industry partner that you're trying to get over the line and you need our support in a meeting to show that the benefits of what the CRC can bring to the table for that particular body of research, we're happy to be at the table. We're happy to run specific webinars with your current industry partners or potential industry partners, and we're happy to support particular events that you might be running within your university that have an AM flavour or have a section where there's some involvement needed for AM education to the participants of the event. So we're happy to help coordinate that. We've got a lot of contacts internationally that we can bring to the table and talk about best practice globally as far as AM is concerned. We have a lot of relationships with suppliers of equipment internationally, so we can bring some of their expertise to the table. And obviously they'll love a machine sale, but often it's about building trust around the technology. So we can bring information about their new technology platforms that they're introducing. We can get samples made on those. We can bring out industry representatives to talk about those platforms if researchers are looking to purchase some of that technology. So hopefully that answers that question. Any more cropping up, Jana?
No. No new questions.
All right. Well, I think we're close to wrapping up. If there's any more questions, feel free to reach out to any of the executive. Jana's probably the best starting point. But I'd just like to finish and thank everyone for their time on a Friday, and I hope they have a good weekend. We're open for business, and we think the next 5 years is going to be really exciting for this sector as we strive towards building a world-class ecosystem focused on additive manufacturing. Thank you for your time, folks.